Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Going to be looking at Monday in the NBA. Got two best bets already in that I handed out to the VIP Discord. Also going to get into these player prop projections that you need so you can make those bets for yourselves on Monday. And we'll be taking a look at what you need to know before you do that. Also want to run into the Sunday player props that we had. Had a pretty good day, almost 2 units up. One bet is still going on right now as I'm recording here on Sunday night. So we'll take a look at what we got. If that all sounds good, give that video a like. Let's get right into it. 5-5 on the night, but up nearly 2 units. That's what we care about and how Sunday is going for us. Saturday, not as good of a day. Didn't have a video on Saturday night, so didn't get to go through those picks for you and how we did, but it wasn't great. Minus 2.6 units. Win some, you lose some. We got hooked on 2 of them. The reads were there for most of them. Sunday felt great about the bets, and we went 5-5, but more importantly, up almost 2 units on the day there. Jason Tatum is going to be somebody that we continue to bet on when his rebounds, when he's playing alongside Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know if people have caught on yet, but he gets more rebounds, way more rebounds actually, when he plays with Kristaps versus without him. So keep that in mind for Tatum's boards moving forward whenever he's got KP alongside him. And then Klingon 8+ boards. We got the news not that long before the game tipped for Portland versus Phoenix that Klingon was going to be getting a few more minutes than he had been up to that point. And sure enough, he got over 20 minutes. And in games where he gets over 20 minutes, he always gets 8 rebounds. So we felt really good about that one. Pritchard and what we knew it was going to be a blowout win for the Celtics. And once again, continue to target Pritchard when the Celtics play the Wizards or the Hornets or anybody that they're going to beat by 20. That's when you want to take Pritchard over on the points. So we did that. Goga Bitadze, still seeming like people don't realize he is super crucial to this team now. We just missed the double-double for him, got hooked on that one, and the Rudy double-double, which we'll move past. But the Goga rebounds is going to continue to be a great look. He's got to be out there for 30 minutes, especially when they play a team like the Knicks, who has a really good center in Karl Towns. You're going to need more Goga Bitadze. PJ Washington, we took him on a same-game parlay that got us plus 130 for a full unit, 10+ points, under 8.5 rebounds. The rebounds prop was too high. I didn't even need to take the alt rebounds prop at 8.5. Could have left it at 7.5 and gone under, but played it a little bit safe and still got the plus 130 with ease, by the way. So felt really good about PJ Washington. We'll continue to target his under rebounds whenever they're at like 7.5 like they were tonight. That is just far too high for him. Pritchard just missed on the plus 500 for him to get 18, Tatum to get 10+. If Pritchard had hit one of the like 6 threes that he missed, we get there. We move on though. Nice little dart throw that should have hit, did not. Bitadze double-double should have hit. He had a couple missed point-blank shots at the rim and a couple tip-ins that didn't go our way, but still got the 10 boards. Just missed out on the points. Same for Rudy. Just missed out on the rebounds, actually. He had 9 of those and 10 points. So just got under the double-double. Would have been a nice win for the night as well. And then Tyus Jones just did not dime up. Didn't even have that many potentials. The lesson for Tyus Jones is when Bradley Beal is not playing, which is why we targeted him on the assists, just take the points and assists combined because KD and Booker are both going to be flexible and versatile alongside Tyus Jones. So give him points and assists because some nights he's going to score more, some nights he's going to dime more, but he's always going to be heavily involved in the offense when there's no Bradley Beal. So we'll keep taking Tyus Jones overs, but we got to throw the points in there because that's what he crushed tonight. And it helps us give us a little bit of cushion so he doesn't have to do a lot of both. He can either assist or dime up, and we'll still get that prop for him. So if you don't want to miss a single pick that I'm making all season, definitely jump into the VIP. We have got plenty of packages in there for you guys, and we're doing a lot more than just giving out picks and making about 32.5 units through the first 2 months of the season. Also got plenty of opportunity for you to get better at betting and learn about sports betting and the art and the science of it, because that's crucial to all this. So I've given one-on-one sessions to those who are in the VIP, help you guys make some new good habits and trim the bad ones that are keeping you from building that bankroll. So if you want to get better at all this and build that bankroll for yourself, in addition to catching some winners and me helping you get that bankroll up as well, then go ahead and jump into the VIP. Got that link in the description of the video. Quick reminder that we do have the live show every day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Twitter. Go ahead and come in there with your bets, jump in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to look at, and we'll get some of that last minute value over the course of the last couple hours before the first tip off. It is a great place to make sure that you're finding a follow-up on what we've got from tonight's video as well, because we don't have all the lines that we need to be able to make all the bets that we want. So we're going to be making some more during the live show at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you jump in there. And we're going to be using Props Madness, which is what I'm going to be using on this show as well. All the links to the tools that I'm using here on the show for this video and all of the stuff on the live show, all of that is in the description of the video on YouTube. So make sure you check out those links so you have access to the same tools, such as this one, which is Props Madness. I'm going to be using this. It is behind a paywall, but if you do want to get your first month 25% off as you try out Props Madness, use code LYB. That'll get you that 25% off when you are signing up for Props Madness. So the GOAT tool that there is for the NBA and WNBA, cannot recommend it more highly. But let's get into what we've got here on Monday, starting with this 76ers and Hornets game. And as I always tell you guys, you need to know who is playing and you need to know how many minutes they're playing. Those are the two most important things. That is the starting point for betting on the NBA. Who is actually playing, who's not playing, because when people are injured, you can get some value there. And how involved are they going to be when they're out on the floor, right? How many minutes are they actually getting when they're out there? LaMelo Ball is currently questionable for the Hornets, and he's at 23.5 points. And I have to hit that on principle right now. Like that is something that is at least worth hitting overnight at 23.5 points, because if he does play, this line is just way too low. Now, we could get some information tomorrow morning that LaMelo Ball is going to be on a minutes restriction or something to that effect, right? In which case, okay, then now we have to figure out how to hedge on that, right? And figure out how to pivot from that bet. If we think he's only going to play 20 to 25 minutes, for instance, because of his injury, then we need to know that. But if he is not at all injured or hindered or on a minutes restriction, 23.5 points is just plain too low. And I don't trust this 76ers defense at all. Like, it's been slow and choppy for the 76ers, but that doesn't mean their defensive rating is really legit or that they're a good defensive team just yet. So I'm going to feel good about LaMelo Ball if I can get him at 23.5 points. We'll revisit that on the live show. The bet that I do have for this game already down, you can book it. I'm taking Paul George on the assists. And there's a couple things that we're looking at here. Now, I took him for 6+. If you wanted to drink the juice, meaning take really bad odds for the over at 4.5, I think it's a good parlay piece. If you can get 5+ rebounds to add to any kind of parlay for Paul George, then that's a good look. But I took the over 5.5 or 6+ for +125, and I feel great about it because I'm very confident that this number is going to move in our favor, meaning we're going to get worse odds for taking the over, right? It's already even money on DraftKings, whereas it was +125 just a few hours ago when I bet it. So this is moving in that direction. I would hit the Paul George assist as soon as you can. There's a couple things we're looking at for the dimes for him against Charlotte, and it has nothing to do with Charlotte. Charlotte's bad. They're a bad defense. They're a bad team. I don't really care about the matchup nearly as much as I care about what Paul George has done this season when he's not playing with Joel Embiid, right? And when he is playing with Tyrese Maxey as well. So I took Joel Embiid out. I can say I want to see what Paul George does without him. And I'm going to take out Jared McCain, and I'm going to add Tyrese Maxey, because also Jared McCain out now for the season with that knee injury. Really sad stuff. Actually, let me take out Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. I'll just leave it with Joel. That's fine. I'll show you some more stuff with this about that in a minute. But for Paul George assists, I mean, you can see he's gone over in 4 of 7 on the 6+, and he's got a 6.4 per game in this time frame. Now, the first 2 games, I'm going to give him a pass. These were like 2 of his very first games with Philly, and he was playing 24 minutes, then played 32 against the Clippers. They still lost by 12. Wasn't much of a game there. I believe Maxey ended up getting hurt in that one. But more importantly, you see the last 5 only went under in 1 against Detroit and only played 26 minutes. But you've got no McCain, you've got no Embiid, and you've got no Caleb Martin. Those are the 3 guys that it's really crucial are out. And Paul George, without those dudes, especially in these last 5, you can see has been doing super well with the dimes. And the potential assists are what you want to look at as well, right? So he's up in the double digits for the potential assists, which for anybody not clear, a potential assist is when you pass the ball to a player who takes a shot. If they miss it, then you don't get the assist, but if they make it, you do. Either way, that is a potential assist because you had an opportunity for an assist because you passed it to someone who shot it. That's really all that is. But that is the most crucial stat when it comes to the assists, because you need to know what the volume is. How many potentials is he even coming across to be able to get his dimes? No potential assists, pretty hard to get assists. The other thing I've been showing you guys lately is the on-off court numbers and the different lineups, because it's just as important to know, did a guy play in this game as it is to know, how does this guy play when he's on the floor with a specific subset of people. So for this game, I want to take Paul George. I want to put him in and on court. I want to do the same thing with Kelly Oubre and with Tyrese Maxey, because those are the 3 guys that I see playing the most minutes. So I want to know how Paul George does with those guys. And I need to take off court. I need to remove Caleb Martin and Jared McCain and Joel Embiid, because I know none of those 3 guys are going to play, and I want to make sure that they're not considered in the numbers that I'm looking at here. So you can see Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, when they play together, and I'm going to change this to standard stats, not just advanced, and this is going to be per 36 minutes. So what that means is, when I look at these stats, I see Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. The 3 of them, without Caleb Martin, Jared McCain, Joel Embiid, they have played 58 minutes together. their per 36 numbers in that time frame looks like Paul George gets 8 assists per 36 minutes. When you extrapolate this time out, he gets 8 assists if they played a full 36 minutes with this lineup, and 16 points. Now, it's not the most reliable because it's only 58 total minutes of action. This is not that big of a sample. But it does tell us that even in the 58 minutes that these three dudes have played on the court together at the same time, without the other 3 guys that are off the court, that in that time frame, Paul George is a lot more likely to be diming up than he is even to be shooting. Now, I expect him to continue to take more shots as we move forward throughout this season and as he continues to get healthier, and he should be completely healthy. Now, if we go back to Props Madness, we can look at the last 4 games, and he's played 35, 35, 37, and 37 minutes in the last 4, right? So I think he's probably good and well beyond the injury that was keeping him from playing full minutes each game. And now that this team is without 2 of its best players in McCain and obviously Joel Embiid, they're going to need Paul George even more. So I love the way that he passes in these situations. I think the assists are the most exploitable, and we're getting plus money for 6+. So I would hit that before it moves too far into the minus number range. Next guy I'm targeting here is Kelly Oubre, and we've been looking at him. Shout out Hannah, not Hannah, one of the guest cappers in the VIP Discord. That man is crushing it this year, absolutely incredible. And he's really brought to my attention that Kelly Oubre has been rebounding very well over the course of the last 3 games, right? 10, 10, and 13 rebounds in his last 3. And the minutes are there because he's mostly playing without Joel Embiid or Caleb Martin and Joel Embiid. Like those dudes who would be taking some of the rebounds from him, they're not in right now. So that's why he's had double digits in the last 3 games, and very impressive against a decent rebounding team. Orlando doesn't have most of its players left, so I don't know that they're as good of a rebounding team as they have been. The Bulls are terrible, and the Pacers, not a very good rebounding team either. And he's done really well against all 3 of those as of late. Great. The thing that I want to look at is going back to this Fantasy Labs on-off court stuff. What is Kelly Oubre doing when he's playing with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey on the floor at the same time? He's at about 6 rebounds per 36 minutes in those time frames, right? And so that doesn't make me feel quite as good that he's just going to automatically go back to getting 6 rebounds in this one or double-digit rebounds in this one just because he's playing without the dudes that he's been playing with recently. Like these 3 games right here does not necessarily just mean, oh yeah, this is a steal, man. Let's go ahead and hit Kelly Oubre at 5.5. We have to look at the sort of the lineups, like I was saying, and what happens when he's on court with the guys that we care about him being on court with. It's not really good, especially if you actually add Andre Drummond, who's going to be out there a good amount. You add him to that. If say he plays 20 minutes, right, and like 15 of those are with Kelly Oubre, now Kelly's rebounds actually go down even further a bit when he's out there with Andre Drummond. So we got to consider all of that stuff, right? It's not like he's just going to automatically get it because he's gotten it recently. I really want to target this, but I need a little bit more, and I might need to stay away from this and see one more game to understand just how well he's rebounding. Next game on the card is the Miami Heat and the Detroit Pistons. And if you know anything about me and my betting, I don't touch the Miami Heat. I am on a strict no Miami Heat betting diet because I do not trust any of the rotations from Eric Spoelstra, and I don't trust this team. I don't trust Jimmy Butler to be trying. He's going to get traded. I don't know what to expect from them. There's really not even any more Terry Rozier at this point. They're playing random dudes at random times. I don't know how to gauge it. Eric Spoelstra, great coach, horrible coach if you're trying to cap a game that he's a part of. So I'm pretty much out on this game. The only thing I'm considering right now, and we do want to wait on a couple things for the Pistons, but I want to let the market pressure this a little bit. It's Cade Cunningham, and it's specifically his rebounds and assists combined. And there's a couple of reasons I'm looking at this, but it is at 16.5, and I'd like to see which way the market moves this bet. Meaning, are people going to bet this up or down? If they bet it down and it goes to like 15.5, this is a beautiful bet. But 16.5, it's right on the line for me. And we need to know that Tobias Harris is not going to be playing in this game, so that's really crucial. You can see he's out right here. Nice, thanks to Props Madness for giving us the injury reports in the lineups here. But for Cade Cunningham in this situation, I actually have him pulled up on off courts Fantasy Labs as well, because I want to put him on the court with Jalen Duren and take Tobias Harris off the court and see what happens in this situation per 36 minutes. And what happens is that Cade is averaging about 5.8 rebounds per game in that time frame, or per 36, I should say. So it's 43 minutes, it's 13 games, it's not that much time. I don't want to rely on it too heavily, but it is an indicator that even though Tobias Harris is not on the floor anymore, who's a good rebounder and is getting like 6 or 7 a game on the season, that doesn't mean that you take him out and that Cade Cunningham is the one picking up the slack on the boards, right? You can see Jalen Duren is averaging about 13 rebounds when he's playing with Cade and without Tobias Harris. He might be a better look for the boards. And we also are getting a couple more minutes from other guys like Simone Fontecchio when he's been out there with Cade and Jalen Duren and without Tobias Harris. Simone has actually been averaging about 10 boards per 36 minutes. He might be in line for an uptick in minutes as well. So we've got to keep that in mind. Like, I really like the Cade rebounds and assists at 15.5, but we're not getting it yet. And we don't know exactly what the rotations are going to be. I want to be able to do some more research on that in the morning when we get news from shoot around and stuff like that. So betting overnight is awesome. I get it. You can get ahead of some lines and you can really take advantage of some soft lines, but you can also get yourself into trouble if you don't wait for the news that comes out in the NBA the day of games, when you're going to get a lot more out of the shoot around, when you get coach interviews, when you get player interviews, you're going to learn a lot. So we got to wait to see a little bit more. If this gets down to 15.5, we're going to hit it. And if it doesn't, we might need to wait on it. But last thing I would say, part of the reason I love this is when you look at the Miami Heat this season, very good at limiting points against the point guard position, right? They are like 6th best limiting points to the point guard, but they are in the bottom half of the league. They're like bottom 8, actually, giving up rebounds to point guards, and they're bottom 8 in giving up assists to point guards, about almost 10 per game. So this is the way that you beat them as the PG. Is it's a lot less likely for you to get the points. It's a lot more likely that you get the rebounds and assists. I'm telling you right now, I am not touching the Nets and Cavs at all tomorrow. Dennis Schroeder just got traded to the Warriors. He's not on this team anymore. This has blowout city written all over it for the Cavs, and I just don't want to trust anybody on their team to have to go over, and I don't really know what's going to happen to the Nets against a very good defensive team in the Cavs as well, by the way. So this is a game that I'm kind of weary of. I don't really want to touch it, so I'm not going to. The Kings and Nuggets I didn't have a chance to get to because that came out actually while I'm recording this for you, that they started to trickle out those player props. So I'm going to go right to the Clippers and Jazz because I have a bet from this game, and that bet is a man who I have been betting on a lot, and you are going to have to rip these bets from my cold dead fingers before I will stop betting on Walker Kessler until you give him legitimate props. He's now at 19.5. This is a slam spot over for me to get 20 plus points and rebounds combined for Walker Kessler. The reason that these are all green is not like all of a sudden he started playing well. The reason that the last roughly 7 games have been an over for him, and in those last 7 games, by the way, averaging 26 PR in these last 7. Granted, a lot of these have been without all of them, or almost all of them have been without Jordan Clarkson. There's been a few without Lauri Markkanen, but most of them have been with him, and some without Kyle Filipkowski. But guess what? Last game, Filipkowski came back. So did Jordan Clarkson, and we still got 22 points and rebounds from Walker Kessler combined, mostly because he got 17 points and only 5 rebounds, but he had 13 rebound chances. And most importantly is the 34 minutes. So that is the correlation between him doing well over the last 7 and doing not as well in the previous games. It's just minutes, man. And that's what we always talk about. If you don't know how many minutes a guy is going to play, you should not be making a bet on him. You need to be able to project how often he's going to be on the floor so that you can actually make the bet. You can't get points from the bench, right? It's just that simple. So if you don't know how many minutes he's going to play, none of it matters. And there's zero reason to think that he's not going to play another 30 plus minutes against the Clippers, who have Zubac or Zushak as he was acting earlier in the year. So you know that he's going to be needed out there. I would even consider adding the assists, because if you look at the Clippers versus centers, they give up a ton of assists, actually the 4th most to the center position, in part because Zoo's been doing a good job defensively, but that is something that they will allow, especially on the kick out, right? They're kind of lazy in that regard. When you get an offensive rebound against them, they will give up second chance points. And Walker Kessler will be getting offensive rebounds in this game. I love him to do that when he plays the minutes. If we take the advanced filters that we can use here, and we look at let's go back to the points and rebounds, right? On the season, he's at 22 points and rebounds combined. But what about when he plays at least 28 minutes, right? And that's the point of these filters right here on the advanced stuff, is I can see how well he's done in very specific situations. And those situations that I think are going to occur here on Monday night, which is that he's going to play at least 28 minutes. So in the 14 games that he's played at least 28 minutes this season, he's looking at 24.7 PR. healthy above the 20 that we need him to get, right? If you want to put this down so that it's not too crazy, because 36 minutes seems a little bit high. Let's say he plays 28 to 32 minutes. We're still at 8 for 10 on the over, 25 PR, actually a little bit better. So really, really liking this for Walker Kessler, because they've kept him in the starting lineup and they've kept his minutes high. And that's the only thing that has kept him from doing really well in the past in his career so far, in the first 2 or 3 years that he's played in the NBA, is that his minutes were super sporadic last year. And this year we have a starting center for a team that badly needs him in a game that they're going to badly need him against Zubac. So I'm taking Walker Kessler to get 20 plus PR tomorrow. I'd play this up to over 20.5. Last thing for me for now is a word of caution against betting on James Harden. Now, the Jazz are terrible limiting assists and limiting point guards in general. If we go back to FanDuel Fantasy Pros and we look at who is giving up the most assists here to the point guard position, the Jazz are giving up the second most. So the thought is going to be James Harden, assists, we should take him, which is what my thought was against the Nuggets in the last game that he played. They are the third worst team limiting point guard assists, right? And they give up a ton of assists to everybody in general. Yet last game, he got 4 assists in the first quarter and ended with 6. And that is because James Harden, if you look at him in the second half, falls apart. He just disappears. And I'm not even convinced that LA is trying to win, to be honest with you, because they end up not even playing him. And his effort just seems to go down the drain. What I did to show you guys that is and honestly, you can just do this on StatMuse if you want. Like, I could just go to StatMuse right now and do James Harden stats in the first half this season. Right? Or it might have to say first half of games, but it's going to show you right away that in the first half, in the 25 games he's played, he's averaging about 17.5 minutes, 11 points, 3.5 boards, 4.5 dimes, right? Almost 5. If we do this in the second half of games, all these numbers go down. He goes from 11.5 points to 9.9 points. He goes from almost 4 rebounds to 3, and he goes from almost 5 assists to 3.8. Right. So everything drops a bit. The effort, certainly, I mean, use the eye test. The effort drops a bit as well. He doesn't seem to want to play as much. I just can't trust him anymore. And that's been his problem all season, is that he has consistently gone under the PRA, mostly because he just isn't trying in the second half. And these numbers are actually a bit low. This is usually at about 37.5. So 35.5 is low for him. But this is a dude that I'm just off right now. I'm not feeling anything with him. Honestly, if anything, I'd probably be looking at Chris Dunn, because his stats are so low. And this is somewhat of a revenge spot for Chris Dunn against the Utah Jazz, as we know. I don't want to call it revenge, but you do get hype when you play against your old teammates and the dudes that you played with as recently as like a year and a half ago, right? So I think he's good for the points and assists and rebound for Chris Dunn, but probably mostly the points. I think this is going to be a game that he's trying. I feel nothing about James Harden's overs at this point. I'm waiting for him to get back up to like 38, 39.5 PRA, and then I'm going straight under. All right, don't forget, we do have the live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday. Going to be doing NBA and NFL, by the way, and we'll be teaming up with Matt Modi, as I mentioned earlier. So definitely want to make sure you jump in there, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Bring your bets. We'll go over all that stuff together. And if you do want to get into the VIP so you don't miss any of these bets and continue making money with us, definitely check out the link in the description of the video. All right, and until I see y'all then, happy betting.